I think Ellen White, actually, when I played against her in the Olympics, when we knocked out GB in the Olympics. But she still managed to get I think she managed to get a hat-trick. But yeah, she's just one of those players that she's always going to put her body on the line, and sure, she got a lot of credit throughout her career, but I think maybe not enough. But yeah, she's a great player.
The official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.
Hello and welcome to the official Man City podcast. I'm your host, George Kelsey, joined by Paul Dickoff. Paul, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to the podcast as always.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. Alanna Kennedy today. Third full season at City, real established member of the team now, isn't she?
Yeah, she is, and we've got her at the right time after a fantastic derby win at the weekend where she was outstanding. And, you know, as always with all our guests, I'm looking forward to giving our listeners or viewers a little bit of an insight on what they're like and what their journey into football's been.
Really interesting with that derby win as well, because she only found out she was going to be playing sort of maybe half an hour before kickoff because Alexandria had to pull out. So it'd be interesting to see what she made of that, how she maybe had to switch her mindset or something. Yeah, it can't be easy.
And that, look, if you're not playing, you do prepare yourself as much as you can to play, but I suppose to find out at the last minute, it'll be great to get her thoughts on what she was actually thinking when she found out.
As well, there's a lot of emphasis at City for your centre-backs to be good on the ball, to be playing out, taking calculated risks and so on. I'm interested to see how she sort of interprets that, if it's similar to other places she's been or whether it's a completely new sort of thing to her.
Yeah, and you know, that'd be great for people to hear how she's adapted to that, but also like Jess Park we done the last time, her route into football as a youngster and how she got involved in it and to end up where they are now.
Yeah, I think she was another one that was an all-boys team to start with, but as you've sort of said with Jess before, it sort of gave that motivation and desire to kind of even prove yourself even more. So it'd be interesting to see if that sort of elevated her game as well. Yeah,
I'm super looking forward to it, you know, and our journey from Australia to the States, back to the States to here, and you know, and travelling and how she handled it at such a young age.
Yeah, it'll be really good. Well, Alanna Kennedy, latest episode of the official Man City podcast.
Swung in, headed down, and it's yet another for Manchester City. Alanna Kennedy on target. It's Alanna Kennedy's first ever goal for Manchester City.
Alanna, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really looking forward to this one. I suppose the only place to start, we're filming this on the Monday just after the Manchester derby. I mean, what a result, what a performance.
Yeah, it was a great game from all the girls. Slightly unexpected for myself to be on the pitch, but yeah, I was happy with the result in the end and in front of an amazing crowd. So yeah, it was a good day.
Sorry, go on, Paul.
No, your performance was outstanding. When did you get the call, and how do you prepare for that? I mean, I know when you're on the bench, I've been there myself, that you always prepare to come on, but it's very rare that an occasion like that happens. So you've got to be super switched on for it, and then to have the performance that you did was huge credit to you.
Oh, thank you. I guess in the week leading up to it, Lai was kind of carrying a niggle, but it wasn't until towards the end of the warm up where she wasn't able to sort of carry on. So I had a couple of minutes in the back four with the girls, and then it was sort of confirmed after that as we walked into the tunnel that like I would be playing. So yeah, I had about 10 minutes in the change room just to gather myself and go through the set pieces and everything. But like you said, you already prepare for that, and I kind of had in the back of my mind just in case to be ready. But it was, I guess, a big occasion, bigger than usual, playing in front of a big crowd. So I felt like it took me a little bit to get into the game. But
it didn't look
I
like
was happy once I did.
I thought you were one of the best players on the pitch personally. And on the other side, you're obviously very close with Laia, and obviously you got to play, but really tough for her. It must have been difficult on that side of things. Yeah,
of course. You never want to, get a spot through someone else's loss. So I think, but she was one of the first people that came up to me after the game to congratulate me on the performance and on the win. So, but yeah, I'm sure she'll be back soon and hopefully gets herself fit and healthy.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Soon, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
How much did the training leading up to it? You know, because I know some managers will pick their team and they'll stick to it. Does Gareth put you in and out? So, like, if that happens, like he did on Saturday, that you're fully prepared in that back four for what he wants.
Yeah, well, we spend a lot of time on tactical, and so we do sort of swap between the two teams, and it gives us the players not playing or the players starting obviously first, but then the second team, I guess, a chance to play the style and know exactly what's expected of us, and rather than just playing against it in every session. So yeah, I think we're well prepared for that. That's one of the things that coming here, it took me a little bit of time, and I think it takes a lot of players a little bit of time to adapt to the style. But once you know it, it's very, we're taught it and we play it very structured to our system. And so I think, it's good that everyone knows their role if the opportunity does arise.
Yeah, it's almost seamless, isn't it, when someone comes in or comes out. One player who has come in last few months and I thought was fantastic, you probably know who I'm going to say, Jess Park. She was just brilliant again. I mean, you must be so pleased to see her blossoming as she is at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a credit to the team that we have, that, if someone comes in and you're able to take your opportunity, and the quality of players that we have on the bench. And but I'm just so happy for her. She's obviously spent some time away at Everton and come back and now back in the starting team and really taken that stride. And so to see her get some goals as well, I didn't actually realise they were her first WSL goals, because I know I've seen her bang some away in the cups, but just really happy for her, and she was outstanding.
I don't know if you know, this podcast is a really good omen, isn't it?
Oh, really?
So we've done Bunny.
Well, come on. What have we got to say about me then?
We've done Bunny, and then Bunny started scoring goals.
Yeah, okay.
We've done Mary Fowler, and then she got back in the team.
Wonderful.
And we've done Jess last week, so we're taking a little bit of credit of it now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep you. Hopefully, I don't break the
Not at all.
break the omen.
No, he'll be getting the goals, I'm sure. That's what it'll be.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. I suppose as well, with just one more on Jess, she's someone that, I mean, us at the club, you as the player, we've known how good she is for years, but it must be really nice to see her get that spotlight now, because now people are starting to really notice how much quality she actually has.
Yeah, and we see it day in, day out in training, but obviously coming off the bench late in games, and you're not always able to get into the game or show the quality depending on what type of game you're stepping into as well. So to have a little bit of rhythm under her belt and confidence as well, you're seeing her shine now, and hopefully everyone can see what I think everyone knows now after yesterday's performance, day before yesterday.
Yeah.
But so just really happy for her that she's doing so well.
Yeah. I don't know if it was on the podcast with Jess or whether it was another video I'd seen that she'd done with the club. She got asked the question of who's the grumpiest before a coffee in the morning, and she actually said you. So I don't know how you feel about that slander. Firstly.
No, it's okay. I'm an honest person, and it's pretty true. Yeah.
But all the team are big into your coffee, aren't you? And your coffee art and so on. And are there any particular places you like to go, or any types of coffee you particularly like to try, or anything?
I am a little bit of a coffee snob. Coming from Australia, the coffee there is elite. There is I enjoy Federal, being an Australian/New Zealand cafe. That's probably one of my faves. Trove coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know there's a few of the girls on the team who enjoy it. And Ellie, she's loving I think she got herself a new coffee machine or whatever. So I'm a little bit jealous. I think we might do a coffee art class soon. Because I'd love to learn how to do that.
Barista.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. There's some good places in Manchester, aren't there? The only other one I wanted to ask about with the derby, before we obviously focus more on yourself, is it was also a record breaker for Bunny. We're talking about how good the podcasts were. She's gone and broken the goal record. I don't know if you were aware of that as a team, or had she sort of been speaking about it in advance or anything like that?
No, she was. I think a few people we were aware about it, but she obviously wasn't speaking about it too much. I think don't want to put too much emphasis on it, and she's obviously a very humble player as well. But I was saying after the game in an interview that it's so reassuring having Bunny on your team, knowing that I know what it's like to come up against her, and she's a very hard player to defend, but she's always going to produce something for us, whether it's through an assist or whether it's goals herself. And I was excited for her and happy for her, and love the knee slide celebration as well. She's always got a good celebration to go with the goals too. I
always think that's important. If you're scoring goals all the time, you need to make something of it, don't you? Surely, unless it becomes so boring, it's just like,
to enjoy it.
Exactly.
I didn't score enough to work on my celebrations.
Me too.
Yeah. Did you have a celebration?
Not really. I was just surprised I scored half the time, so that's what it was.
I think it was. I don't know if it was after Bunny's goal or whether it was maybe Jess's second. I saw Alex grab you all and almost do like a little mini team talk really quick. I don't know if you remember.
I think, yeah. I do remember that. I think just being so close to the end of the half, we wanted to make sure that we didn't concede before the half, and whether we were going to continue to be on the front foot or just see the half out. But yeah, just a good little check in with the team, and I guess it worked out well because we went into the half, with a clean sheet. So
big time. Yeah, she's sung your praises so many times. Whenever we spoke to her, she talked about how much you bring out of her as well. I mean, she seems to be one of those players again that goes under the radar. How important she actually is.
Yeah,
big time.
And vice versa for me. I absolutely love playing next to her. We have a great friendship off the field, which I think helps. But the communication and understanding of each other on the field, I think it's always nice as well having a left and right centre back pairing. I've spent a lot of my time in the Australian national team having to play on the left hand side. So it's nice having her there, but she's world class, Alex, and she's so consistent every game that she plays in, and she leads through her actions. And obviously she's a vocal leader as well. But I think leading through her actions every week in the performances that she puts out, so she's an unreal player.
I was going to ask you that from a defensive point of view, being friends off the pitch, because me and Sean played together for years, but we were super close off the pitch, and we felt that helped. It was almost like telepathic when we went onto the pitch because that friendship we had off it. Is that the same for the centre half pairing?
Yeah, definitely. I feel that with Alex. We talk about football a lot away from the pitch as well, and I think just having, I guess you could say friendship, but just the communication and the way that we, we're able to talk through things and just that level of understanding. And then I think when things are going well, there's always times where we just enjoy the little moments as well. I think whenever we do score, we'll always run to each other first and just, because maybe the build-up came from the back and we're like, you know what, so we just give each other a little pat on the back. And so, I always appreciate playing next to her.
Yeah, that's nice. Enough about your teammates. Let's talk about you now.
I don't mind talking about them.
Don't mind. Obviously born in Campbelltown, Australia. Do you just talk us through your initial sort of football education? Because I'm right in thinking that you, like a lot of players that we talk to in the women's team, you started playing in a boys' team to start with.
Yeah, I was in a boys' team, Campbelltown Cobras, for a couple of years, and I loved it, to be honest. I loved roughing up against the boys, and I always played with my brother. Was sort of who got me into football, playing in the backyard with him and watching his matches. So as soon as I was old enough to sign up, that was the first thing I did. But I think that definitely helped with my development and probably resilience, I guess, as a girl playing in an all boys team. But
does it give you that little bit more determination?
I think so. Yeah, you're just wanting to prove yourself. And I used to love, when some of the coaches on the side would be like, go get the girl. She's tearing you to shreds or whatever it was. And it was almost, sometimes after the half time, you'd come into the second half and all of a sudden got players hacking at your ankles because there's a bit of pride on the line. But I definitely think that it helped me as a young footballer, and I cherish those memories. I think it was a fun time in my career, I guess, not necessarily career.
As a young girl playing football, who did you look up to? Because people like yourself, for the young girls in Australia and here in the UK, use our icons, use an inspiration to these young girls coming through. What was that?
Yeah, it's hard to like sit here and say I had a role model or a specific player because they weren't visible. Yeah. So for me, it was as I got a little bit older, there was another Matilda playing from Campbelltown who I knew, and so I sort of latched onto that being the closest thing that I could find or person. And obviously, she was a great player as well, and so Heather Garriock was her name, and. Just anytime any association with the Matildas, she was the person that I knew. She was one of the only players I knew because, like you said, they weren't as well known, or women's football wasn't a thing, and so it was definitely hard. And then outside of the women's game, I supported Liverpool. Oh gosh, sorry. I supported Steven Gerrard, great player.
So
we'll cut that.
It's Harry Kewell as well, I guess.
Harry Kewell. I sort of growing. I don't know how old I would have been, but with the Viduka, Harry Kewell, Bresciano days. So Aloisi. So yeah,
Lucas Neal.
Yeah, Lucas Neal. So yeah, that's a football that it was the Socceroos for us watching the men play on TV. But it's amazing that that's different now.
I suppose at that time as well, that would have been because was it first World Cup in 2006, I think, or something like that.
I don't know the years,
or
but
just
yeah.
seeing them.
Yeah.
I remember that with Tim Cahill and teams like that as well. I think.
Yeah.
Just remember the kits and everything as well. The bright yellow kit. It always captured my imagination.
Got some cool kits.
Big times. Were you always a defender as well when you were playing?
No, I wasn't. I played as a 10, or I probably played as a striker when I was real young. And then more of a 10, my first W League season, or not first, my first trophy in the W League, I played as a 10 that season. And then I slowly moved back, further and further back. I was a 6 at Orlando for a few seasons. And I would sort of play centre back a lot for the national team and then play as a 6 at my club. But yeah, now I think I'm just an out and out centre back, which is great. But I do love playing as a 6. That's probably my favourite position on the field.
Do you think that's helped you? Because obviously the way Manchester City want to play.
Yeah, I think so.
As in stepping into midfield as a centre half and going playing. Do you reckon that experience of being there is helping?
Yeah, definitely. I would say so. I think obviously the style of play here is playing out from the back and being on the ball, having to be confident and comfortable on the ball. And so, I think that's definitely helped me. Yeah.
It's probably difficult to kind of give a straight answer when you still live in it, but do you feel like the demands that are placed on you as well as a centre-back are more at City probably on the ball than at many other places? Yeah,
I think so. I think, that's the style of play here is we start the attack and spend a lot of the time with the ball at our feet. So it's important that we're confident on the ball. But yeah, I enjoy that. I've always enjoyed being on the ball, and like I said, playing as more of a 6 and the technical side of the game. Grew up just repetition with technique, and so it's got to pay off somehow.
Well, it's a real quality of yours, isn't it? Like one of your real assets is you play with your head up. You're willing to, like you say, you've got to turn a pace so you can get past someone if you need to, and you can tell that really. I suppose, you're welcome.
And I'm like, I hate getting compliments.
You then moved to America, obviously, after a few years in Australia. Still quite young at the time, but that's quite a common move, isn't it, in the women's game to go over to America. And how did you find that experience in the first instance when you moved there?
Yeah, it was really good. My first season was successful. I moved over to Western New York Flash, and we won the league there, actually with Sam Ewis, who was in today. So, that was a good 7 or 8 years ago now. But yeah, that was slightly. I didn't love the city I didn't love away from football. It was a bit of an adjustment. And then the following year, I moved to Orlando and spent 3 or 4 seasons there, which I loved the lifestyle a little bit more. They're a bit warmer climate, and but yeah, for us playing in the US, we would have about 8 months in the US and then come home and play in the W League at the time, the A League now, and it's called in Australia, over the 4 months of our summer. So it was kind of like an all year, nice little, the leagues complemented each other. So I was going all year round, really chasing the sun, which was nice. But yeah, I think that definitely helped with my development as a footballer. But after a while, it became probably too many back-to-back seasons.
I was going to say, you're getting much of a rest in that.
No. So yeah, I made the move over to England, which allows for an off season, and obviously the style of football over here is probably more suited to my game, I think, and the league's amazing too. So
how did you find leaving Australia as a young girl, going over to the States?
Yeah,
I'd done it as a young boy, but I only went from Scotland to England. You've went a fair distance on your own.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, being so far from your family and like you said, just being a little bit closer, you can probably pop home every now and then, but it's, couldn't get myself home on the weekends really. But it's hard, but it's always nice I think being on tour with your national team and the friendships that you make. And so that was nice to break it up every now and then. But that's one of the great things about football is that the friendships and the people that sort of take care of you away from football become a second family. So that definitely helps. But yeah, I did find it hard being away from my, still now you miss so many things, but, I'm not going to play football forever. So just trying to enjoy it while I can.
Yeah.
It makes you grow up a lot quicker off the pitch
Absolutely,
as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Can imagine.
Yeah, to learn how to cook and do all that.
Look after yourself.
I have to do my own, what? I have to do my own washing.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
It is a big change though, isn't it? Genuinely, like for anybody, when you've got to focus on your football as well.
Yeah.
Alongside all that. Please, you mentioned that you enjoyed Orlando because obviously pre-season tour takes Pep Guardiola's team there. When you were out in Orlando, what did you like to do? What would you recommend for people that are going to be out there?
Oh, okay. The climate's not, well, it depends. It's very tropical. So you get the thunderstorms as well. And then all of a sudden the sun's back out. But
It's
yeah,
not
there's
like rain here though, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not the same. Yeah, you'll take the thunderstorms
long.
over there all day. But yeah, there's some good little cafes. I spent some time Winter Park area. That's a nice little area. I'm actually there in a couple. We play in the US in our next.
yeah.
So we're doing a week in Orlando or Florida, one of the two. Well, Florida. Don't know whether it's in Orlando or not, but so yeah, it'd be nice to get some sun.
Brilliant. And then you mentioned earlier talking about England, how you felt it really suited your style. What specifically do you think it is that sort of brings the best out of you that the WSL demands?
I think it's just the football, the technical and tactical side of things, and like you said, as a centre back, probably City specifically, the way that we play here, being on the ball, being able to dictate the game, but then also the physicality, across all the teams as well, and coming up against some of the best strikers in the world week in, week out. So I think that's definitely what drew me to playing here and being around so many amazing players, both at City and playing against them as well.
There's a lot of Australians that seem to thrive as well. Why do you think that is in England? Is it to do with the style or just like the culture? What do you reckon it is?
I don't know. It might just be because Australians are good.
Because you're good, yeah. Who knows?
You're coming over to help the English out.
Yeah, that's it. I think, to be honest with you, I think it was a very similar transition between myself and a lot of the Aussie girls. A lot of us played over in the US when we were younger, and then the demands of the back-to-back seasons, and it was sort of around the same time that we all started moving over here. But I think where the football in Australia is growing, and as a national team, the Matildas are growing as well. And I think to be exposed to some of the best leagues, and it's great to see so many more of our players signing at big clubs and doing well over here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the best in the WSL is Sam Kerr as a striker for one. Would you say she's one of the best you've played against, or is there another player? Probably more this question: is there more of a player that maybe doesn't get the plaudits or the spotlight, but you've come up against them and thought, you know what, they're a really clever player and they've given me a really tough time today?
I think Ellen White, actually, when I played against her in the Olympics, when we knocked out GB in the Olympics. But she still managed to get I think she managed to get a hat-trick. It was a 4-3 game. So, but yeah, she's one of those players that she's always going to put her body on the line and get into the places where she making the runs that she needs to make in the box, and very clever off the ball. So yeah, I think she's probably one of the. I mean, I'm sure she got a lot of credit throughout her career, but I think maybe not enough. But yeah, she's a great player.
Must have been quite nice to get the chance to play with her then and sort of see behind the scenes as well what she's like.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, like between her and Bunny, very different players, and both had amazing qualities. But to compare her to someone else, or as being someone that's different to obviously Bunny that we have here, she definitely brings a different side of the game that maybe goes a little bit more unnoticed.
Yeah, definitely. I think Bunny quite a few times has actually talked about similar thing, very different players, but they learn and improved off of each other in a way. Was it similar for you in a way, Paul, if you come in with a striker, almost like Sean really, because you're not quite similar players? But
no, well, exactly. And me and Sean used to try and help each other out as much as we could. He was more of a goal scorer than me. I was more of a little ratter and a pain in the backside running around, and we just seemed to hit it off. And one thing about Sean was his finishing. Even though he was scoring 30 goals a season every single day, he was the last one out in the training ground. All sorts of finishing and everything else. So I tried to take that part to him, and we used to talk a lot about my work rate and what he was doing, and try and give a little bit back to each other.
Out, for
it's
sure.
probably the same with the centre half partnerships and everything else that we're talking about before.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, like you said, it's important to there's always things that we can learn as players, and crazily enough, we're not all good at everything. So, I feel that it's a privilege to be in that environment where you have so many good players. Why not learn from them?
Definitely. I'll move on quickly because I'm starting to get the GB slander. I feel very outnumbered out of these two here. Talk about the season so far. I mean, the WSL defensive record for us, generally over all the competitions, but especially in the WSL, it's been outstanding. I think at the moment, time of recording, it's only 11 goals conceded in 17 games, which is just ridiculous. That must give you a lot of pride and the players around you as well to have a record like that, because I know how much you really care about it.
Yeah, we do. And it's funny you say 11, because I think even the last 2 games we've probably felt we could have left the games with a clean sheet, and probably earlier in the league as well. But I think particularly these last 2 games where we copped a late goal, but it's still an unreal record. And I think there's been a lot of not a strong emphasis, almost an unspoken emphasis on and the pride that we have in a clean sheet. I think in previous seasons we've been a little bit frustrated with some of the performances that have probably cost us, European football or, some games. And so, I think as defenders, we've really, coming into this season, wanted to make that a priority, that, we might get a clean sheet, or the aim is always a clean sheet. But it's been amazing to see that kind of upheld, and the record that we have. Is it the best in the league?
Yeah.
So we're, I think, really happy as a team as a whole, obviously, but obviously as a backline and the goalkeepers. That was definitely something that we take a lot of pride in.
Yeah. It's so important, isn't it? And it's so impressive, because everybody looks at Manchester City and they'll talk about the wonderful football they play.
Yeah.
They don't realise the importance of the defensive side and how good you guys and girls are at doing it. And they say goals win you games, but your defensive record, clean sheets when you leagues.
Win your titles,
yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I love that quote.
Can have that.
I'll pull it out every now and then. Yeah.
What do you think's maybe changed from the last couple of seasons? Because as you've said, we've had some really strong seasons, but maybe just fallen short at the final hurdle or something. What do you think's changed this season? Because it just seems to be we're grinding out results and picking up points, even if the performance hasn't quite been where we want it to be.
I think it's firstly, it's the probably more continuity of the same players, and because, like I said, coming in and adapting to a new style of play with new players can sort of get you off to a slower start. I think we've had a really good turnaround and able to pick up where we left off from, especially at the start of this season, but also just the growth and maturity within the squad. And I think the frustration that you have from those experiences and not wanting to let that happen again. So I think that has been just a huge growth within the attitude and mentality within the team. So I think that would definitely be what it stems from for me, at least.
Yeah. It's so obvious how together you are both on and off the pitch.
Yeah.
It's very plain to see. And I remember speaking to Gareth at the beginning of last season, and I think there was it 6 or 7 players were coming in and out, and he believed it was going to take a bit of time. And I know Jill came in the summer, but having that only one coming into the group, but that group that was already there the season before, seeing the benefits of that now.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's nice to see that you can see the togetherness, because I've been a part of a lot of, you always get along with your teammates, and I've been a part of a lot of different teams, but there is a special vibe within the team and togetherness, like you said, and everyone's just a really good people, and sometimes good people doesn't win you football matches, but it's good when good people do win football matches. So it's nice,
really rooting for it. Like you said, Gareth the whole time has just been always saying it's just patience. This team is going to go on and do big things and so on. So it must just be really pleasing to. Yeah, it's not there yet, of course, but pushing along the way anyway. Yeah. Should be a really exciting end to the season, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I just wanted to finish by talking about Australia. That's okay. Still only 29, but 119 international caps.
Cut me short there.
Quick just a little quick glance down just to make sure.
You could see the stare when you said 117 coming over.
Yeah. I mean, to have that many caps and still be in your peak years is just ridiculous. You made your debut very young, didn't you?
Yeah, started young in Australia. There's a core group of us who, a lot actually playing over in England at the moment. Sam Kerr, Caitlin Ford, Steph Catley. We all sort of debuted around the same time.
Steph's actually gone out with one of my former
Oh yeah, Dean.
Dean Bazanis.
Yeah.
I managed Dean.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I managed him at
cool. Yeah,
Oldham.
he's a good guy,
Good
funny
guy.
guy. Yeah, I liked it.
There you go.
Like Dean.
Claim to fame.
Yeah, there you go.
for
There you
him.
go, Dean.
Yeah,
got
that's
you
what I
mentioned
mean.
on the City podcast. But yeah, so we all sort of grew up together and debuted at that age together, and so yeah, it's been a good. Gosh, I must be coming close to 12 years now. Then that
Yeah,
I've been
I've got
yeah.
2012 down
Okay,
here.
yeah.
For debut.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a good ride.
Did it help you that there were so many other young players around you when you made? the
Yeah,
start?
yeah, I think so. Just coming into that environment, but having, a few people there to kind of help you and be in the same situation as the youngsters coming in, and gives you a little bit more confidence. And then obviously away from the pitch when you feel like you can be yourself and enjoy your friendships. And I think that shows on the field as well. So yeah, I feel like I was lucky in that sense to have stepped into the team with some mates.
Yeah. I assume probably the real best moment for you internationally happened last summer playing in a home World Cup. What was that experience like for you and the team?
Yeah, that was amazing. Going into it, we had, high expectations of how people would embrace football in Australia, and hopefully that we would do well in the tournament as well. But never could have expected the support and the way that Australia embraced us as a footballing team, and the I guess how it's continued after. We come home now, and it's the girls are stopped in the street everywhere we go, and people know who the Matildas are, but they know who all the players are as well, and that's just something that we haven't experienced in the past. But yeah, we've come fourth in the last two major tournaments, the Olympics, and then also the World Cup. So hopefully this summer we're looking to medal and leave with some silverware.
The support was phenomenal, wasn't it? Did you find that was a little bit extra pressure, or did you just all embrace it for what it was?
Yeah, I think just had to embrace it. I think it was just too good of a vibe to not embrace it.
To not enjoy it,
Yeah, to not enjoy it. But it was also amazing to see how many fans were showing up at the games without a host team, because I guess being so far away, and we weren't sure, what the crowds were going to be like, and yeah, it was amazing to see how good the whole tournament was, and the way that Australia and I guess all the fans embraced the World Cup.
Yeah. Well, Alanna, I could talk to you all afternoon, but I think we're running out of time, unfortunately. We always finish off with some fan questions, let them know they were very excited to ask you some. So starting off, Sam from Perth, we've actually just asked this. He said what your proudest moment was as an Australian player playing for the team. So.
Yeah, it probably would be the World Cup as a whole in 2023. I don't think that anything will ever top that. Hopefully I've still got another one, maybe two World Cups under my belt, but that one will go down in history for all of us.
Definitely. Jessica from Salford, probably a difficult question this, asked for your favourite British food.
Oh.
Because there aren't many.
Yeah, I don't know. Is probably just like a breakfast, like beans and just like a good, I don't know if avocado on toast, eggs, beans, is that British?
That's too healthy for breakfast. That is.
Beans
I
are
was
one of
with
your
you till we
5 a day.
said avocado. And
Yeah.
On your tin of beans, it says one of your 5 a day.
Well, there you go.
There you go, yeah. Been living off them. And just finally, Mel from Cheshire wanted to talk to you about the Women's Academy, because we've got some fantastic young players that have come through. Just wondered if you had a message for any young players looking to try and get into the game, sort of any advice you'd give.
My advice to young players is always, there's two. There's the football side, and then there's the enjoyment side. So always just enjoy it and sort of chase that feeling of happiness, and what's fulfilling you. If it's not football, then at least you tried it. But I think that's important in life, is to be happy. But then on the football side, my advice for young players is always is technique and use both feet. That's just something that I always tried to do when I was younger. I just think they're the fundamentals of the game, and so if you can work on that.
So that's where I struggled.
That's why I didn't make it.
And if you don't have that, then just work hard. Yeah,
There you go.
Well, I didn't work hard either, so I didn't stand a chance. Alanna, thank you so much for your time. I don't suppose you have a question potentially. Have you been thinking as we've gone?
I haven't been thinking. For some reason, I want to go to coffee, so I'm just going to say maybe, what's the worst coffee order?
That's a good one, actually. That's a really good question. So next one who comes on the podcast is going to have a tough one. I think mine's probably a mocha. I'm not really a fan of a mocha.
Yeah. No. Something like that that's not real coffee.
No,
so that's the worst order.
Latte, too much milk.
Yeah, too much milk. Latte, anything.
You need it strong, don't you?
Even a cappuccino is probably too much milk.
Really?
Yeah.
You are a coffee snob, aren't you? But Alanna, again, thank you so much for your time. Really, really enjoyed it, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks,
That was
guys.
great. Thank you.
Cheers.
The unbeatable official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.